After my mother-in-law shamelessly made racist and degrading remarks about both me and our daughter, I lost control and slapped her in a moment of raw emotion. My husband witnessed the entire thing, and now I'm torn between feeling justified for standing up for us and wondering if I owe him an apology for how it all unfolded. I'm reflecting on a situation where I reacted strongly towards my mother-in-law. To provide some background, my husband is white and I am mixed race. My mother is Puerto Rican with dark skin, and my father is white with a fair complexion. I appear relatively white, meaning most people wouldn't assume I'm Latina unless I tell them. There's a humorous family observation that darker pigmentation skips a generation, as my maternal grandfather is fair, but his grandmother was very brown. With that context established, I'll explain what happened. My husband and I have been together for 7 years, married for 5, and we have a wonderful 3-year-old daughter. When she was born, she had a full head of dark brown curls, dark brown eyes, and a rather olive skin tone. She resembles me when I have a tan, and it's quite clear she has Latino heritage. Despite all this, my mother-in-law became convinced that my daughter wasn't my husband's child. She's been telling anyone who would listen that I must have had an affair, believing there's no way her son's child could be that complexion. Such pleasantness. My mother-in-law has always been somewhat reserved with me, never making a great effort to connect and always maintaining a polite distance. She had made a few casual remarks about Latinos before, which my husband would dismiss as being from another era. I wanted to excuse her behavior as simply a lack of education, but I now realize that was a mistake, as it implicitly allowed her to continue. When my husband and I learned from others what she was saying, we invited her over to discuss it. I genuinely hoped we could resolve the issue. However, my mother-in-law launched into a 15-minute tirade. She revealed her own racist views, stating she believed women like me couldn't be trusted, and that she knew from the beginning what would happen. The audacity. She accused me of trying to pass my daughter off as my husband's, and she used several derogatory slurs. My husband and I were frozen in disbelief. She hadn't even entered our home and was simply shouting on our doorstep. What finally jolted me was when she began insulting my mother, suggesting she likely did the same thing to my father. I don't know what overcame me in that moment. I've never struck anyone before, but I ended up smacking her so forcefully that her glasses fell off. That's what prompted my husband to react, or rather, to yell at both his mother and me for our behavior, while my mother-in-law started crying loudly. Yes, I know I shouldn't have hit her. It was wrong. But hearing him imply that I was as much in the wrong as she was just made me angrier. I told him he was as much of a racist as his mother if he was trying to equate my actions with hers. I retrieved my keys from inside the house while he was attempting to calm his mother, and I left. I drove to a hotel and stayed there for the night. It's now the afternoon, and I haven't left the hotel room since checking in. My husband and several other friends and family members have been trying to reach me. I only responded to my sister-in-law to confirm I was safe at a hotel and asked her not to disclose my location to my husband. Guilt is beginning to settle in, and I'm questioning everything. Did I inadvertently enable my mother-in-law's behavior? Did I somehow present myself in a way that made her suspect infidelity? Does my husband actually believe I cheated, which is why she has these ideas? And of course, should I apologize to my husband for hitting his mother? I understand violence is unacceptable, and I hate making excuses, but I simply couldn't tolerate someone speaking about my family in that manner. So should I apologize? To my husband, dear internet community, how do we move past this? Any and all advice is welcome. An update. My daughter was not at the house. We had sent her for a weekend sleepover with my sister's family, and I'll be picking her up tomorrow afternoon. Another update. I've posted a follow-up on my page. Update 8.1. I spent a good deal of time reflecting and was able to secure an emergency appointment with my therapist this morning. My sister is my only immediate family here, as my parents relocated back to Puerto Rico to be with my grandparents 5 years ago. A few quick answers to common questions. My husband is 28, and I just turned 30. We met when he was 21 and I was 23. My daughter was with my sister's family for a weekend sleepover starting Friday. I picked her up Monday afternoon, and we enjoyed some quality mommy-daughter time, including a visit to her favorite place, Costco. Yes, my 3-year-old loves Costco. We got home around 7 after dinner. My husband was waiting, and I told him we'd talk after our daughter was asleep. Once she was definitely asleep, we had a long conversation, not just about the argument and his mother, but also about race and culture. I shared my experiences of how my family was treated based on skin color, and while my husband understands racism, he admitted he hadn't fully grasped its complexities, especially colorism. Many of you suggested I take my daughter and leave, or predicted he would leave me. I'm sorry to disappoint, but no, we are not getting a divorce or anything of that nature. He apologized to me for not defending me sooner and acknowledged his reluctance to view his mother as racist. I also apologized for hitting her because, in the end, it didn't help our situation. He forgave me and even said that if it hadn't been his mother, he probably would have reacted similarly. We've decided to go to marriage counseling, hoping to find a therapist who specializes in interracial relationships. Our daughter will undoubtedly face challenges in the future because of her race. It's unfortunate, but racism persists, and we want to learn how to protect and empower her so she never feels ashamed of her heritage. We've decided that my mother-in-law will have no contact with my daughter or anyone attempting to mediate communication, unless years down the road she demonstrates significant changes in her behavior. My husband will drive to her house tomorrow to inform her of our decision. I would consider a paternity test and a DNA test, but only if my mother-in-law pays. I refuse to fund this absurdity myself. We've also decided not to make any public statements regarding this. If people choose to believe her story, that is their prerogative, not ours. My husband knows our baby is his. The irony is that she looks more like him than me, and her curls even come from him. I truly hope this will be my final update. If anything else occurs, I might return. Thank you again to everyone who offered valuable advice. I am saddened that my daughter won't have a grandmother in the United States, but it provides more reason for us to plan trips to Puerto Rico. Update 2. For those suggesting I should be arrested for slapping my mother-in-law, I'm afraid I have to disappoint you, as she is not pressing charges. This is entirely thanks to my husband, who threatened to expose his father's various affairs. Yes, it turns out my father-in-law cheated numerous times on my mother-in-law until his death 2 years ago. According to my husband, his father was even paying for sexual favors on his deathbed. This is deeply disturbing, as my father-in-law and mother-in-law appeared to have a loving marriage. Apparently, it was all just for show. I can't even begin to imagine how my husband is feeling. We discussed it, and he expressed deep shame for keeping this from me, but also shame because his parents' marriage was nothing like they pretended. It was. My husband and I are still searching for a couples therapist specializing in interracial marriage. My husband is also looking for his own therapist after the conversation with his mother illuminated many other traumas and issues he feels he hasn't properly addressed. I'm so proud of him for taking these steps. Now, regarding how the conversation on Wednesday unfolded, which is, of course, why I'm providing this update. As I mentioned in my first update, my husband went to his mother's house to inform her that her behavior was unacceptable and that we would be initiating no contact for the foreseeable future. My mother-in-law did not take this well. The irony is that she told my husband he couldn't keep her from her only grandchild, which is amusing given that she spent the week claiming our daughter wasn't his. She hurled some colorful insults at me, asserting that my husband was never like this before he met me, and that this entire no-contact decision was my idea to conceal my supposed affair. In response, my husband said that if she was so certain I was cheating and that our daughter wasn't his, she could pay for a paternity test and a private investigator to find my affair partner. You know, the one that doesn't exist. My husband says his mother's face turned a comical shade of red, and he swears there was steam coming from her ears. This is when she declared she'd press charges, and my husband countered by saying he'd simply tell everyone about his father's serial cheating. My mother-in-law apparently burst into tears, then fell to her knees, wailing that he couldn't leave her. My husband simply pushed her off and left. I had already blocked her number so she couldn't contact me, but she blew up my husband's phone, until he came home, and he blocked her too. My husband will be sending her an email reiterating what he said about no contact, and that until she proves she's gotten help, understands she was wrong, and apologizes, she won't be seeing any of us. Both of my husband's sisters called us to get the full story and agreed to set the record straight with anyone who tries to contact us on behalf of my mother-in-law or attempts to echo her conspiracy theories. Anyone who wants to support her can crowdfund for a paternity test and private investigator. We've spent too long building our finances to waste them on the ravings of a disturbed woman. My husband and I did read comments on the posts. I told him about them and showed him, and we both thank you for the support and helpful comments. My husband has a special message for those doubting me and saying I should be arrested. Get expletive in a bucket. I love this man so much, and I'm so fortunate to call him my husband and the father of my little girl. We'll be celebrating my mother-in-law being out of our lives by taking our daughter to Texas Roadhouse, eating an enormous amount of rolls, and seeing Despicable Me 4. Wishing everyone love, and thank you again for all the support. Edit. I forgot to add this, but she also threatened grandparents' rights on the grounds that I endangered my daughter by taking medication for my autoimmune disease during pregnancy. We doubt she'll actually pursue that, but we will consult a lawyer regardless. Now on to the next story. My husband wanted an open marriage, but now he's jealous and wants to close it, and I'm realizing that I don't love him anymore. My husband, Leo, 34 male, and I, 30 female, have been together for 7 years, married for 4. We don't have any children and don't intend to. 2 years ago, Leo asked me for an open marriage. I was devastated at the time. I couldn't comprehend why he didn't just want me, nor could I grasp the idea of sharing him. He gave me the familiar spiel many men give their spouses. He swore up and down that he loved me, but I just wasn't fulfilling his needs. He needed more than I could provide. It was simply to add excitement to our lives. It was just about sex, and so on. I did ask if there was someone else, and he said no. To this day, I'm still not sure if I believed him, but at the time I was angry and hurt, and said no. He pestered me to change my mind for a week before presenting an ultimatum, an open marriage or divorce. I chose the open marriage. I simply couldn't bear the thought of him leaving me at that time. We established rules: no partners allowed in our home, required STD testing every 3 months, 1 weekend per month kept free for us, and any money spent on or with our partners had to come from our personal accounts. I didn't participate in the open marriage myself for the first 3 months. Leo predictably began immediately. He seemed to be out or gone late almost constantly, but he always acted so happy and loving towards me, while I felt like I was internally crumbling. It was agonizing to think he was sleeping with other women, and I felt so lonely, unattractive, and not good enough. I confided everything in my sister, Katie, 26 female, and a few close friends. Katie advised me to simply play his game and participate in the open marriage as well. If he could sleep around, so could I. Honestly, I didn't have much self-confidence at the time. I'm a bit overweight and have never considered myself conventionally attractive. I feared this would only humiliate me further. Katie and my best friend, Jessie, 30 female, set up my online dating profiles for me. I received so many matches that it was overwhelming. When I told Leo, he was surprised but told me to do whatever I thought was best. Jessie helped me choose my first date, and I actually had a great time. He didn't pressure me for sex and took me out for drinks and dinner. We did eventually have sex, but it was purely casual, and we didn't continue seeing each other after a couple of months. That first experience truly made me feel more confident in myself, so I continued going on dates with other men. Many of them wanted to treat me, so I didn't have to spend much of my own money. Not only that, but some of these men have given me the best sex I've ever experienced, almost like the kind you read about in romance novels. It's been amazing. I am currently seeing 2 different men in addition to Leo. Mark, 38 male, is more of a steady boyfriend whom I've been with for about 6 months, and Steven, 25 male, is very casual, mostly just hanging out and sex. They are aware of my open marriage and other relationships and are fine with it. My husband hasn't been so lucky. In the beginning, he definitely was, always out and about and seemingly unconcerned even when I started dating. But now he complains a lot and hasn't been going out much. He whines about usually being the one spending money, and how many of the women he tries to be with want an emotional connection before sex. He often wants to be with younger women, but they prefer younger men. He's also been upset that I go out with random guys so often while he's at home alone all the time. He hasn't asked to close the marriage yet, but I feel like he will soon. He keeps saying he misses us and wants to spend more time together. He's also tried to initiate sex much more frequently. He wants to go on dates and vacations and all that stuff more and more, and he gets upset when I tell him I can't, because I've already scheduled things with my partners, mostly Mark, honestly. Honestly, I don't think I love Leo anymore. I care about him, but I just don't love him. I'm not saying I love Mark or Steven, but I honestly feel closer to Mark these days than I do to Leo. Mark makes me feel comfortable and safe, and I prefer spending time with him more than with my own husband. Steven is funny and sweet and very good in bed. Katie and Jessie have been wanting me to divorce him for a year now, but I was afraid of hurting him and thought I still loved him. However, I think my love for him died when he asked for this open marriage in the first place. Seeing him get so annoyed about it now, simply because he's not benefiting from it, is also a turn-off for me. But I don't know if divorce is the best option. I still care about him, and I still don't want to hurt him. Maybe if he finally asks to close the marriage, we can discuss it then. We've just been together for so long that the idea of him not being there feels strange, which sounds foolish since I have 2 other partners, so it's not like I'll be lonely. But Leo was such a part of my life for so long that for him not to be there just doesn't feel right. But you're probably right. 7 years isn't that long considering I'll possibly live for another 50 years. Update 1. Hi everyone, I received so many comments and messages on my last post, which was deleted for some reason, that I was a bit overwhelmed, especially when many of you kept saying the same thing: divorce, divorce, divorce. But the thing is, I think a part of me does still love my husband. I know in my last post I didn't think I loved him anymore, but I can't just forget about the things I do love. I love when he sings in the shower. I love when he laughs so hard. He snorts. I love when he kisses my forehead when I've had a bad day. I love when he holds my hand when we watch TV together. Leo has done a lot of crappy things, but he really isn't the complete expletive people think. Maybe that was my fault. But even if I do still love him, I'm not in love with him anymore. I don't think I've been for a while. I care about him. A part of me does still love him. But you all were right. I should have just divorced him when he gave me that ultimatum in the first place. This past Saturday, we had the big talk. I initiated it, but he didn't seem too surprised. I just told him that I noticed he didn't seem to like me going out with Mark or Steven and asked if there was a problem. He said there was, but he didn't ask me to close the marriage. He just asked me if I still loved him. I said something like, not like I used to. He broke down crying, which made me cry too. I guess he had known for a while that I wasn't in love anymore, but he had hoped he could win me back if he funneled all of his energy into me. I was honest and told him that during those first 3 months of our open marriage, I think my love for him died, and I just couldn't get it back. I did tell him that I still cared about him and that I did love him, but it's not the same as it was. He asked if I loved Mark or Steven, and I said no. I like being with them and I care about them a lot, but I can't say I'm in love with either of them. I also finally asked him why he wanted the open marriage in the first place. A lot of you in the comments said he already had someone lined up, and you were right. He had someone at work he was interested in, and she wanted him too. The open marriage was just to get permission. He honestly never expected me to also get my own partners because of how unconfident I was, but he didn't want to stop me either because he thought nothing would come of it. He didn't really like me seeing other men, but he knew it wouldn't have been fair to tell me no when I gave him permission first. I guess Mark and Steven made him insecure because I was spending so much time with them on a regular basis. The open marriage was just sex on the side for him. He only did hookups, and they never lasted long. He genuinely always just loved only me, but he thought I was falling in love with my partners, and he was losing me and wanted to win me back. We cried a lot and talked a lot. We've decided to get a divorce. Since the house is in his name, I'm going to move out and live with Katie for a while. He told me I didn't have to and I could stay until the divorce was finalized, but I just can't. It's too hard to even look at him sometimes. I don't know how I feel, to be honest. I thought I would be relieved or sad, but I'm just tired. I wish I could have been like you all wanted me to be, clapping back or being sarcastic and snarky or rubbing it in his face. But I don't feel like I've won anything. I just feel lost. This is an old tale and people keep falling for that. I was like, look at all of these stories on Reddit. They all have the same ending, but people always trade 80% for 20% that they don't have. Our marriage is over. We both talked about reconciling, but I just can't do it. I can't love him like I used to. I've officially moved out and I'm currently living with my sister. I wish I could hate him for everything, but I don't. I'm angry and sad and frustrated and devastated, but I don't hate him. I think everyone wants him to be the villain, but he's not clever enough for that. My husband was always short-sighted. He really never thought about the long-term consequences of things. His focus was always the then and now, not whatever came later, because that was for later him to worry about. Now, we are at the later, and it's awful. I wish I could blame him for everything, but he didn't slowly ruin or chip away at my self-esteem. He didn't break me down and make me hate myself. He didn't flaunt his success in my face. He didn't make me feel inferior. I came to him that way. He took advantage, but he was never hateful. Maybe I should have let him know during the open marriage how unhappy I was. I tried to hide it from him. He would even ask me, and I still lied. If I had been honest, maybe we could have closed the marriage. Maybe we could have just gotten divorced at the beginning. Maybe I should have negotiated better rules. I have so many maybes and so much self-blame. If I had been more confident back then, maybe this open marriage never would have happened. But I blame him too. I hate that he let that woman come between us. I hate that he even entertained her flirtations and had discussions with us. I hate he thought this was a solution and that I agreed because I couldn't bear the thought of losing him. But I don't hate him. I want to, but I can't. I know it'll get easier, but everything is so hard now. I don't know what to do when I feel like I'm crazy. I hope I can feel like myself again soon.